Good afternoon, General. On page 21 of your statement, just excuse my voice.
Paragraph
21.
Paragraph 20.
Page 21, paragraph 25.
25. Yes, Chair.
In relation to the work study report, you state there, I wish to state clearly that I have not given anyone permission to access the submission nor utilize it to their defense. I deem this as unauthorized and an abuse of a conversation that the CFO had with the accounting officer. What did you do about this?
I have.
Because this is a very serious statement that you hear.
I have not done anything about it. What I then tried to do was to say, perhaps we must, because this was also on the media, and you will see on the media that the entire comment is not there. It's only the comment that talks about deactivation. So I had requested communication that perhaps we need to correct this as advice to say, you know, let's allow the commission as well as the committee to do its work, because it will not be prudent that every time something is out there in the media, we issue a statement and so on and so on. But I have not done anything to say, let me report this. But for me, it would have been best that those that wanted to use this, at least they ask me, what did I mean in this regard? But I have not done anything.
General, you spoke very passionately about this earlier on.
Yes.
In your statement here, when you said, I have not given anyone permission to access it, that in my mind tells me that people stole from your office, that people stole a document and used it without your permission. That means in your office there's a risk when it comes to accessing documents.
No, Chair.
And you have done nothing about it.
No, Chair. This document is not sitting in my office. It is an application from the project leader. It goes through the stages, as I indicated earlier, up until the approving authority approves, which is the National Commission, and then it goes back to its origin or to the author. What I do have a copy. So there's a likelihood that it is at NOCC or it is where it originated. So I am not the custodian of this particular document. What was just strange for me was that the document is used, and the comments that I have made, that I had only the conversation with the accounting officer, that without understanding the context of where I came from, people decided to utilize it. But I'm not the custodian. It goes back to the author of that submission. I remain with a copy.
Thank you. Are you saying that the minister came here and he misled this committee?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying the document was utilized and I was not aware in terms of that, because if I was aware, I could have explained the context of this. I was not aware that it will be utilized by himself, including General Sibia.
General, Minister Becky appeared before this Parliament. He refuted the use of the word, the letter N for national, in reference to the national PKTT, which Minister Nkunu repeatedly emphasized. More importantly, to your knowledge, was the PKTT, the establishment, national or provincial? Because which one of the two ministers were lying? Was it Minister Becky or Minister Nkunu?
I've always known this team to be called PKTT. Though I had not participated in IMC meetings, but I've known it to be called PKTT.
All right, so you were saying that Minister Nkunu again misled this House.
I am not certain in terms of the NPKTT.
General, you said earlier on that people don't take accountability for their actions, and we need you to speak truth today. I'm asking, did you think that the minister misled this House?
I do not participate in the IMC structures.
General, can you conclude that part which you wanted to say before you answer the next question?
I have always known this team to be called the PKTT. I do not participate in the IMC structures and all those structures that the project leader together with the National Commissioner would be participating. For the purposes of my function, which is to confirm funding, I have always known this team to be called PKTT. I cannot confirm to say the minister misled. Perhaps such discussions did take place elsewhere, but I cannot vouch for such.
But General, you can confirm because you did the budget allocation.
To the PKTT?
Yes. So you can confirm whether it was provincial or national, because you did the budget allocation, and when I look at your budget allocation, it speaks to all the areas within KZN only, so why are you saying you cannot confirm?
What I indicated is that all operations are run from the National Operations Center. When interventions and task teams are put in place, that decision is taken by the National Commissioner to go and support a province. For the purposes of a PKTT, it was established to deal with the situation in KwaZulu-Natal. The issue to say it had then expanded its scope, that particular operational decision, I was not aware of. I do not participate in the IMC structures and all that, and these decisions are taken by the project leaders working together with the National Commissioner in this regard. The reason why I had said put together a permanent structure in KwaZulu-Natal, I was of the view that this team is supporting KwaZulu-Natal, but the money that is utilized is not the baseline of KwaZulu-Natal. It is money that would have been put together from national in addition to supporting the work that is taking place in KwaZulu-Natal. So whether the end then came into being, those would be best explained between the minister as well as the National Commission. I have always known it as
General, I put it to you that only in the end, the National Commissioner had then said that the scope of the PKTT needs to extend to national. Am I correct?
Just a quick follow-up,
Yes.
Chair, on the
So in
insourcing
meaning
of security,
initially
because
that the work was not for national, it was for provincial, and you allocated that budget for provincial operations.
The PKTT, which
Yes,
was
for the
established.
PKT, you allocated, you signed off the budget.
Yes.
So why are you saying that you're not sure if it was national or if it was provincial?
The Chair, the NPKTT, I'm saying I've known this team to be called PKTT.
General, I want to move to another area of concern relating to budget. The money set aside for informants is astronomical. And with my understanding of how the system works, I want to raise a few questions about the expenditure on informants, right? How was 3 million monitored in relation to cash disbursements to informants?
May I ask, Chair, which page is the member on?
Somewhere, and I didn't allocate that page. Never mind the amount for the sake of time. How do you monitor the cash payments of informants?
There are policies that exist in terms of within crime detections and those that utilizes this in terms of ensuring that these monies are accounted for. We do have policies in place. Of course, you will then have the other account, which is the service account that has its own processes. So there are policies in place and the relevant officials within crime detection, crime intelligence that then are supposed to ensure compliance to those policies.
General, I'm going to say to you, crime intelligence is stealing this money. There has been allegations of crime intelligence misusing this money for the longest time ever. I'm asking you, as the handler of the purse, you are allocating these budgets. How are you, in your capacity, ensuring that this money gets spent and on the right things and we have value for money?
Check.
What do you have in your receipt? We know that there's policies for all of these things. I'm asking, what monitoring tools do you have in place to ensure that when you allocate 3 million for informants, 3 million was actually allocated and given to those informants?
Crime intelligence has 2 sets of budget, Chair. I have not had any complaints in terms of the open budget that I am responsible for. One has had complaints in terms of the Secret Service account, which has its own CFO and its own rules that is managing and governing that particular. But on the open budget, I have not had any complaints in terms of program for
So,
allocation.
General, do you rely on complaints to pick up misconduct and corruption? I'm asking you what monitoring tools you are assigning huge budgets. What monitoring tools do you have in place?
If there are complaints, it means the internal controls that we have in place are either inadequate and inefficient. We do have policies, we do have controls in place, we have sufficient safeguards. So the absence of complaints then tells you that your systems are adequate in this regard.
Let me ask it like this. What system exists to manage and track how much money is paid to whom and for what information?
In terms of crime intelligence secret service account, that I will not be in a position to respond. It has its own CFO and they account to different levels of structures in this particular area.
So you are passing this one on to the crime intelligence CFO? You are saying this is not
I'm
under
not
your mandate?
responsible
This
for the secret service account.
You're not responsible for the Secret Service, even though you the...
I'm not, it has its own CFO.
Okay. General, task teams are generally immediate stabilization interventions, correct?
Yes.
You explained it nicely earlier on.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. What sort of justifies having a task team for 5 years?
As I indicated, the operational teams together with the National Commissioner continuously conduct crime threat patterns, crime pattern analysis, and they take decisions to stabilize and to support provinces or any areas that remain stubborn. Some of the areas sometimes remain stubborn and they require these interventions. For me, as I indicated, my knowledge of a task team is that it is established for a specific purpose, for a specific period. If it becomes a little bit longer, then it means it is dealing with a permanent problem. That is why then, from a resource point of view, one would have advised to say, why is it that we are not putting this as a permanent structure so that we can resource it properly? Obviously, the operatives would have then done their crime patterns and analysis and taken decisions in terms of what is prevailing on the ground and those challenges that they are dealing with. My understanding is that investigations do take time. Certain investigations and investigators will have dockets that will go to court and take years and so on and so on, but the operational environments are the ones that takes the ultimate operational decisions based on what they would have analyzed and what is on the table and the intelligence that they might have.
I want to ask, Operation Lockdown, Thunder, what has been the value for money for SAPS with this operation, which has shown blatant failures in the Western Capes? In fact, it has gotten worse, with a budget of almost 500 million being spent with little to show for it.
Earlier during the day on my testimony, I indicated that is a question that I'm interested in. In SAPS, we do not have a model that assesses the value for money in terms of operations.
Sorry, General, you said that that is a question you are interested in, meaning that you will continue to sign off on budgets without having a clear indication
No,
of
Chair.
whether the STARS team is being
No,
effective
Chair.
and whether there's value for money.
No, Chair. That is why we have tasked our research environment to, one, conduct an impact study on all these operations. And my understanding is that they are done with Valamgodi intervention as well as the lockdown. But that impact assessment report has not been presented to anyone. Over and above that, then they are developing a value for money model for us. And that is as a result of a task that came directly from myself and my team, because we want to ensure that the investment that we make in terms of these interventions yield the necessary results. So we are in the process of finalizing this. There is a commitment that before the end of March, the value for money model would have been given to us, because we need support from that. But indication is that it's not easy. A lot of variables have to be taken into account. A lot of stakeholders have to be consulted in this particular regard. So it is an area that we are working on. One is interested to ensure that then the SAPS has a model that we can utilize to assess all these interventions and ultimately be able to give comfort that these interventions are value for money.
General, 5 years of spending millions on various task teams. Had it not been for General Mokonazi's press state conference, would you have embarked on developing a practice that will be able to determine the impact of these task teams?
We requested it in 2024 in October.
In 2024, so prior to that, so every year for 5 years, you've been funding over 11 task teams.
I have written to the relevant managers. You will see in some of the attachments that I've made as part and parcel of the concerns to say they must determine whether the threats still exist, what is the impact, what is the value for money in this particular regard. As I indicated, they will convene the operatives and do evaluations and take operational decisions approved by the accountability officer. I have raised these particular issues. Now, we need a model, Chair, that we can utilize. We don't have that model. That is why we took the initiative in 2024 in October, prior to the press conference of July 6. We have already taken initiatives and we look forward to that particular model that we can implement across the country to ensure that we are in a position to can assess and monitor this. Of course, the work of the police overall is measured in terms of the decline in crime trends. You will see the release of crime statistics, the work that the police continued to do, and the inroads that they continue to make in this regard. But that model, we're looking forward to it. It will assist the department to ensure that all these investments that we have made, we are able to give comfort that it is yielding the desired results.
General, how far is that model and when is its due date to be rolled out?
The head research has given a commitment that before the end of this financial year, that model will be ready.
Thank you, Chair.
Nothing. Sure, I would be honest.